And welcome back, everybody, to the Podcaster Nation. That's right. I said welcome back because I know you were just listening to our stuff and you loved it so much that you came back for more. Folks, I don't blame you. That's brilliant. It's a brilliant move. Uh, why do we have so much more for you? Because this is the podcast. It's about podcasters, it's for podcasters, and it's done by podcasters. And our guest today, wait for it, is a podcaster. That's right, amongst other things. So, hey, strap yourself in and get ready for the ride. Folks, this is where we come together to raise each other up in this community. This is the place where the rising tide raises all ships. So let's get sailing and bring in our guest today, the founder of Corcoran Entertainment, playwright, actor, director, and podcaster, host of the Corcoran Entertainment Show podcast. Please welcome to the show, Franky Corcoran. Franky, how you doing, brother?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on. And thank you, audience, live studio audience. Thanks for having me in here. We're in the same room, if you guys couldn't tell.
Hey, whatever people are going to buy, man. Sounds good. Exactly right. I love it. All right, Frankie, we've got a lot to unpack and talk about here. So, why don't you just get us started with who is Frankie Corcoran? What are you about? What got you started in all this crazy stuff?
Yeah, well, I've been doing entertainment pretty much my whole life, to be honest with you, or at least for as long as I can remember. Dates all the way back to when I was in, I think, like third grade. I would always dress up as Stephen Colbert and Conan O'Brien and do my own talk show in my basement. Put the suits on and everything. And so it's always kind of started there and kind of just spiraled from there. Would always do silly stand-up routines for family gatherings and stuff like that and school talent shows. And then wasn't until I got to high school when I decided to just finally join the drama club after years of, I don't think I will, I don't think it's for me. And people thinking like, okay, you're literally on stage no matter where you are. We can be in the doctor's office and you're on stage performing. So just take the leap and go for it. So I went for it and pretty much fell in love with it right off the bat. Did it for all 4 years of high school. After high school, I continued to do lots of community theater. And then, of course, the infamous shutdown. I don't want to say the C word because I know some people hear that and things get demonetized and things like that. I've
Oh,
literally
yeah.
heard that happen before. People say that word and, it gets demonetized or, hidden or whatever the case may be. And so after that, it was kind of like, okay, what am I going to do to kind of, I kind of had theater was like my go-to for keeping me keeping my sanity, you know what I mean? So after that, I was kind of like, what do I do? And so I started to lay the groundwork for what would become Corcoran Entertainment, which launched in March 2021, pretty much like exactly a year after the initial shutdown. And started prepping for our first production, which was set for October. Started writing lots of stuff, and it was going good. And then we had another shutdown come 1 month before we were supposed to open. I think like literally a month before,
Oh,
and I think the performance was set for October 21st or something like that. And we got the shutdown again on September 21st, just a rise in cases and stuff like that. And so then I was like, okay, well, crap. Like, we had everything ready. I need something to do, not just to keep my sanity again, but also I need something to kind of keep the Corcoran Entertainment name alive and to keep the brand going. So then that became what is the Corcoran Entertainment Show, which is a weekly podcast that releases every week, every Tuesday. And this year we just started releasing the odd bonus episode on Thursdays as well too, just a little bonus interview. And so that's been going since January 2022, and since then, I mean, we've done lots of shows now through Corcoran Entertainment. It's the podcast has become a great way to network, meet new people, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been lots of fun, and if I stopped when I planned to stop, it was one of those things that I said, I'm just going to do the podcast until we can do plays again. And then once we were able to do plays again, I was like, I love doing this, man. This is so much fun. And then had I stopped when I planned to stop, you and I wouldn't be talking right now. So
that's
here
right.
we are now. And it's kind of funny how all that works. The circle of life.
Oh, I love that. Absolutely. Circle of life of the podcaster post the C word. Yeah, 100%.
The C word. Yeah, see there. We're being
Right.
very careful with our words.
Oh, I'm telling you, it is amazing the reactions that you get from certain things in our business, but that's definitely one of them. So I don't blame you. I'm afraid the second shutdown probably was our fault here in the States. So sorry about that impacting your show the way it was.
Oh no. Well, Canada, it was partly our fault too. A lot of it was, we can do stuff again. They lifted all the restrictions. We all went out and started doing things and big gatherings and concerts and stuff. Boom, cases started to arise again, and
Yeah.
then that's when it's like, oh, it's fine. They're not going to shut us down. But then everybody was so done at that point. They're just like, come on, like we got our vaccines and this and that. Like, can't we just live our lives again the way we used to? And which I mean, like, we definitely understood. We all related to but it got so ridiculous to the point where it's like, okay, you can go to a restaurant and eat with a bunch of strangers, but you can't have Thanksgiving dinner with your mom.
Yeah, exactly.
And at that point, it was like, okay, we're done here. Like, seriously, like, I'm not having Thanksgiving dinner with some old fart who's beside me who I've never met before in my life. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'd rather have Thanksgiving with someone who I know, someone who's my parent or family member. So, but thankfully, those days have been behind us now for a bit.
Yeah.
And, knock on wood, you know.
Right. Well, and since then you've done a lot of stuff. You got your start in acting, it
Yep.
sounds like. And so, but then you self-published a play, if I have this correct, The Lives We Tell Ourselves.
Yes, that's right. That was the first actually. So the first play that Corcoran Entertainment did was a night of two one-act plays, and so the lies we tell ourselves was one of them. I had two genres of them. One was drama, and one was comedy. The comedy. The reason why I didn't publish the comedy one is because it was set during the pandemic time.
Uh,
And even though it was a funny take on the pandemic, basically the premise of that one was uh, a guy who's laid off, whose wife is a healthcare worker. He invites his friends up to play poker and they just have fun and this and that. And then she comes home because she mixed her shift up. And it just becomes this big farce of how do we get out of the house without her seeing us. But because it involved the C word,
right.
I was like, I don't know if it's one that people, like we want something that can help us forget that one. But I mean, I definitely still have that. I love to self-publish that eventually. But the lies we tell ourselves was more of a dramatic piece involving a newlywed couple who went on their honeymoon to his hometown, and who is working at the hotel now is his ex-wife. And so it kind of becomes it was inspired by for those of you guys who like Neil Simon and plays and stuff. It was inspired by Plaza Suite by Neil Simon and California Suite, basically set in a hotel room.
Hmm.
It was kind of inspired by that and that setting and stuff. And so that was the first one that I said, okay, like that's a good way to start getting my work out there. So self-published that, and it was one of the actually it was the first piece that I directed that was shown to the public because that was the first of the one acts. So I thought no better way to start getting that out there by self-publishing that one. And through the process, I mean, obviously, it wasn't one of those things that I said, I don't need an editor. I'm just going to put it out there. You got to get lots of help with it. I've sent it to some amazing people. Norm Foster, who's great Canadian playwright, and a lot of others who looked at it and said this is wrong or this is wrong or you need to change this or change that. You need more than one set of eyes especially when you're self-publishing. I mean, when you're publishing, you know there's so many layers and so many people who are looking at it and things like that. But when you're self-publishing, it's all you got to hire the editor, you got to hire all these people to look at it and make sure everything sounds right. And so it was a good way to start. I was like, I definitely don't want to publish a full two-act play right now. I want to kind of start small, take baby steps, and work my way up. So for any aspiring playwrights out there or writers, that's probably my best piece of advice to start is go small to begin with and slowly work your way up. And don't it be like if you want to make a film, or like don't go for a big budget, $200 million budget film. You know what I mean? Like, start small, do a little indie film stuff in your backyard. You know what I mean? Before going out and trying to do something big. So yeah, that's the long answer to your question.
It's great. It's a first for me because, I've talked to a bunch of authors, of course, but I've never actually personally talked to anybody who has put out a play. So, that sounds like a pretty cool process. You liked it so much that you're doing it again. You've got one coming out in November. So is this one a little bit bigger, in progression, or is it like the first one? Tell us about that that's coming up.
Yeah, so this one is a full two-act play. It's called Fractured Festivities. It takes place in the home of Judith Allen, who's a 75-year-old cantankerous woman who just had a hip replacement. And so she is confined to a wheelchair. Her niece Lily, who's kind of dim-witted, and she's sweet, hardworking, but she's as I put in the script, she's not the sharpest tool in the shed. And then her stubborn daughter Tracy, they both move in to kind of help her during her recovery. And so through all this, they Lily ends up allowing Tracy or Judith's ex-lover Chuck, who is also Tracy's father, who abandoned Judith when she got pregnant, and his new wife Vivian to come stay with them. And so now they're in the house now, and there's tension. Judith has to reflect a lot on her past. She's after the whole thing with Chuck, she kind of closed herself off from people, and except from her daughter, of course. And so it's a story about self-reflection, family, loss. So it's a comedy drama, a good mixture of both. And we're actually doing a rehearsal for it tonight as well too. We just started rehearsing for it. So for anybody listening who happens to be in the Miramichi, New Brunswick area, November 14th and 15th at Dr. Loge, the middle school theater. And more information will be on our social media and stuff like that in regards to it. So it's been a lot of fun, and you still learn lots of stuff, even directing and writing. Like you learn when you're writing, it's good to workshop all of your stuff before, read it out loud, hear how it sounds with actual people saying the lines, because then you'll hear it on stage and go, yeah, that sounds weird. I should have tweaked that, or I should have changed that. You still learn lots along the way too. So it's been a lot of fun, and the cast is great, and they always got lots of good ideas and stuff. So it's coming together very, very well, and I'm very excited for people around here to see it. And it's just another step to putting some more of my work out there for people to see, which is a lot of fun, and it's very it's a very gratifying to hear everybody's responses and stuff like that.
Brother, that's amazing. I mean, when I asked the question, I had no idea that that was going to be the answer. But I mean, that's really fascinating what you're putting out there. It sounds like you got a lot of depth and a whole lot of layers for two acts. Sounds like you're putting a
Yes,
lot into that.
absolutely. And I definitely learned from a lot of the best too, like Norm Foster, he's considered to be the number one most produced playwright in Canada. Norm Foster is, and luckily my uncle Donnie Bose, who runs the Upper Canada Playhouse in Toronto. He knows Norm very well. He does a lot of his work and things like that. So, I was able to get lots of great feedback from Norm, and he's done some amazing stuff as well too. He writes how people talk in real life as well too. I mean, I like plays that take place in older times and stuff, but it's even better when it's plays that are, it talks how we talk. We're not talking like this on your podcast today, Rory. welcome to the Podcastination. Like, like we're not gonna be talking like that, and like, like we're from the 18th or not from the 18th century, but we're from, the 1950s, and well, thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate it, my dear. Um, you know.
I love the accents, man. All right, I mean, we're getting the
Oh
full
no,
the
where I'm
full
pulling
thing
them out
here.
of, I'm just like versus how we actually talk, where it's like, ah, damn.
Hey, man, again, whatever works.
Yeah,
It's-
exactly.
That's awesome. All right, so let's see. Your bio intro is playwright, actor, director, podcaster. In terms of directing, is that the plays that you're talking about? Are you the director of that? Have you directed other things? Where's the director come in?
The director is my place or Corcoran Entertainment. Yeah, and so there's been a couple occasions where I've directed for other groups who were looking for somebody where I'd step in, like, we need someone who with theater experience to kind of come in and coach us, direct us a little bit. So I've done a little bit of that too, but primarily it's through my own group.
Nice. In your opinion, looking at everything that you've put out there, because entertainment, just the category covers a huge, genre of different verticals. But in your opinion, what is the biggest, coolest thing you've done so far?
Oh man. It's kind of hard to pick one, you know what I mean? Like it's one of those situations where there's lots of stuff that you're proud of along the way. I think definitely one that we did last year, we did a fundraiser for mental health and addictions Miramichi. We did a fundraiser to raise some money for that organization through a play called Love, Loss, and What I Wore. Basically, five women, they kind of talk about their lives, pieces of clothing, how it connects to their current day and how it connects to the stories and stuff like that. Like it's a really, really good script for anybody who's looking for a simple set, like we did a one night show of it, and we raised $5,500 for mental health and addictions
Wow.
Miramichi, which was something where like we plan to do it again. We're set to do it at some point this year. Things got busy with the cast, personal issues and scheduling conflicts and stuff like that. So it's definitely still on. We're still planning on doing it. It's just a matter of when, and raising more money for it. And so that would probably be one of them, but like it's so hard to choose just one that you've done. You know what I mean? It'd be
Sure.
like, you've done so many episodes of your podcast now. It'd be like someone saying, which one's your favorite? And you're just like, I've done so many of them. Like, how do I choose,
I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, I have 4 podcasts. I've done 600 episodes. It's like trying to say this is my one favorite of all of them. You just couldn't do it. So
It's
I
like, who's your
totally
favorite
understand.
kid? You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I could probably answer that one, but it'd have to be off the air. But just don't tell my kids.
or
No, I
say it. It's fine.
I understand. No, completely. I get it. So somewhere in the middle of this acting, directing, playwriting, you decide to put up a podcast, and you've been doing this for about 4 years. You've been killing it. You got about 220 plus episodes on this thing. I've listened to it, really like it.
Oh, thank you.
What made you start the podcast? Where'd that come from?
I've always loved podcasts. Like I've always loved, I think everybody's been in that situation with their friends where they get drunk one night and they're like, let's start a podcast. And it kind of goes from there. Like me and my friends would do that all the time. Like, we get shit faced and go like, let's do a podcast. And then next day we'd forget all about it. But then when I was trying to come up with ways to kind of keep the brand going while, we're back in shutdown, um, the podcast I came to one because I mean I'm a big fan of like podcasts like Bill Burr's podcast. Conan O'Brien is one too. I mean, hell, dating way back to when I used to dress up like him, for God's sakes. Uh, so and listening to his podcast, which is great. I was like, this would be a great way. It was. So it's kind of funny now when I look back, and the terrible audio quality where it was just this old cheap $10 Staples mic that I got. That's how I started the show off. Just this little it was literally, I think probably like $10, $12 from Staples, just a little USB one. And so started off with it, said we'll see what happens. Um, and then just ultimately loved doing it, loved meeting all the amazing people. I've met some people that I've looked up to for years through different shows and stuff like that that I've watched. And so it's one of those things of like, how do I stop? You know what I mean? It's almost like I always say this with theater too. It's like theater is the best kind of drug. Once you do it, like it's kind of hard to explain to other people who don't do it what it's like. You know what I mean? It's like you really have to be into it to understand what it is we do, if that makes any sense, you know? So,
Yeah.
uh, and the podcast has become like that for me, as I said, being a big fan of them and stuff like that. So, um, and it's hard to imagine where the success of Corcoran Entertainment would be if it wasn't. Had I not started it, would it, would I have made all these amazing connections and stuff like that and grown it? It's maybe it could have, but it's definitely helped it for sure.
Nice, nice. Now, you've got so many legs to what it is you're doing, with the acting, the playwright, the podcast. Exactly what purpose does the podcast serve? Is it marketing arm? Is it networking arm? Is it part monetization? Because I think I've heard you with a sponsor on one of your episodes, or just curious, how you have built the empire here, upon itself.
Yeah, I find it's also been a great way to, I mean, like, in like the advertising and stuff like that and the brands we're partnering with and stuff like that, it's added income for Corcoran Entertainment as well too, which is good. And so I mean it's also a great platform too because through this, I'd never really realized just how many people out there are trying to get noticed in whatever it is they're doing. They're a singer songwriter, they're an author, and they're like, I need people to, like, I want people to buy my stuff. I want people to listen to my music or whatever the case may be, but I don't know where to start. And so when you're on a site like Podmatch, for example, which is, a fantastic outlet for and platform for connecting with people and stuff, um, you're able to find that. You're able to find people who are, I'm struggling to get my work out there. I'm struggling to sell my music. I'm struggling to sell my books. And so I really, felt the urge to, make people feel seen, like make their work visible, make their, just overall their, grow their brands too. They have a podcast that they want people to listen to. Anything that we can do to help promote the arts too, because the arts can be forgotten in a lot of ways. I mean, we saw this during the pandemic when they were fighting so hard to get sports teams back up onto the field and to
Hmm.
get hockey and stuff going again. But you're looking around and like nobody's supporting the arts. Like the arts are suffering too. Why are we just focused on sports? I mean, I get it, people like sports, but there's people out there who are professional, theater companies and performers and artists who are relying on this to make a living. And it's really one of those situations where you want them to be noticed too. You want them to a platform to be able to tell their stories. If they have a podcast, they want people to listen to it. If they have a podcast and they want guests, a great way to say, hey, I love to have you on mine, and then maybe I could do yours. Like, like there's lots of different ways that you can connect and help each other, which has become a great community. That's been one of those situations where it's kind of hard to walk away from. You know what I mean? Like, it's done so much good, not just for your brand, but for yourself. You know, uh, it's made me a better communicator, I find as well too. I mean, I've always been an outgoing person, but meeting people and like, especially starting Corcoran Entertainment, people might find it hard to believe that I was very shy in a lot of ways when it came to just messaging people and saying like, hey, I'm looking for this or I'm looking for that. I used to be very like, oh, Jesus, like what do I do? Nowadays, doing the podcast, starting this whole, empire, as you say, I've really grown out of my shell in that regard a lot too, where I've been able to just reach out to people, no trouble, and just go, "Hey, I'm looking for this. Can you help me out?" So you owe a lot of it to the podcast because I mean, it's talking. We're talking like this. I mean, if this was me back in like 7 or 8 years ago, I'd be like a mess. Just, "Hey, Rory, how are you doing? Hey, Rory, like." That's just how I was. I was always just kind of
Sure.
nervous and stuff, but doing this has helped tremendously, I think.
That's great. I mean, people don't really understand all of the benefits that come along with podcasting. So I love that you took that route, on that question too. You did bring up promotion too, and so I'd love to find out more about that. Clearly, the podcast helps promote, Corcoran Entertainment. Do you do anything then in particular to promote the podcast?
One thing we do for sure, similar to what I'm doing right now, I guessed on a lot of podcasts too. I did a podcast. When did I do it? Was it today or yesterday? I can't remember when I did it. I think it was yesterday. I did one. I was like, I literally just did a podcast. I said, when was that? Was that today or yesterday? Um, called My Podcast Story that we connected through Podmatch. You might have seen them around
Hmm.
somewhere on there. But it's a great, promoting it through there as well too was nice. We recently just did there's a community event that's held in Miramichi every year called the Mayor's Barbecue. The mayor of the city holds a barbecue to welcome in newcomers, and there's vendors set up and everything. And so I always set up a vendor booth every year for Corcoran Entertainment, just getting people involved with the theater and stuff like that, and saying like, if you like theater, this is what we do. If you want to be involved, this is how you be involved. And then I have a little blurb for the podcast as well too. And I actually had someone this weekend go, I want to start a podcast, but like I don't know where to start and with that. And I'm like, well, here's my contact info. This is how you do it. And then they start listening to my podcast and like we say before, it's kind of a circle of life. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of funny how it all kind of works like that. And help people with their stuff. I mean, like I'm definitely doing everything in my power to help promote my stuff, but helping others promote theirs the same way that I've been able to grow mine. I definitely want to help encourage that. So, and it's never. This is something that people might maybe take out of context or anything too. But like, it's one of the things. I'm not in it to say, yeah, look what I did. I helped this person grow theirs. Like I've never ever been about that too. It's just about wanting to help people, uh, wanting to see as somebody who loves this community of podcasters and artists and stuff. I want to see more of it. So if there's anything I could do to help them uh with their stuff, it only helps the community. It only helps people want to start, more people say, well, I want to start a podcast. I didn't know where to start, but then I listened to this person who was also inspired by maybe something I did or something someone else did. It's all a circle. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It all kind of ties back together. And so that's what I want to help people with and help promote their stuff.
Love that. Love that. I always ask a corny question of my guests, and so this is probably a good place to insert corny question here. When it comes to doing your podcast, what is it about doing your podcast that you absolutely love the most? And you may have answered this already in pieces. So, and what is it about doing your podcast that you just, I mean, can't stand, throw it out the window, hate the most?
I would say the thing I love the most about it is the people. I think I mentioned that in one of my tangents that I embarked on. Is the people? It's somewhere, yeah. Rory will go back on and put a timestamp somewhere of where I say this, but I'd say it definitely the people that we meet. You meet so many amazing people. There's people that I've had on who I'm like, I've been a fan of their work in some shows. Like a perfect example, the biggest one that I had, which was huge for me. It was like never in my wildest dreams did I think of this. I'm a big Better Call Saul fan, and I had the honor of interviewing Howard Hamlin, Patrick Fabian, and that was like as soon as I got that email back from his agent saying, "Yeah, yeah, sure, he's interested," I was just like, "Wait, what?" Like,
Wow.
oh my God. Like, so it was one of those things that getting the opportunity to meet someone like him who I've looked up to for so long. And even before we started, he's like, "Hey man, like you never know what to expect with some people that you meet. Like people who you've looked up to for years. Um, and admired. You're always wondering, like, are they going to be what they're like on camera or anything? And then he hops on the call. And he's just like, "Hey, man, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it. Great stuff with what you're doing." I'm just like, holy God, he's really nice. Like Howard was a nice character too. But I mean, like, just, seeing him just being just so happy for what I'm doing and things like that, I was like, that means a lot. So not just him, but just everybody else who's guested on the show that is just very supportive of what we're doing. And it's never about, oh, you should be doing this or you should be doing that. It's always just thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's helping us a lot. And the thing I probably hate the most is the bad internet connection sometimes. You're doing an
Right.
interview and
Oh,
they're just talking and they're like, "Hey, but uh, and then they
right.
start. I'm just like, oh shit, this is gonna be so bad in editing. And then there's times where I have to say, I'm sorry, can you go back and say that again? And then they're like, what? What? I'm just like, oh frig. Like, that's probably the worst of it. I think is just anytime the internet connection. Um, actually, it's funny that we say this today. I was recording an intro for one that's coming out on Thursday, a bonus interview that's coming on Thursday. I was recording the intro for it. I recorded it. I went on another tab because I was going to look at something, like an event that I was plugging. I looked back and the recording froze. So I recorded a 2 minute intro and it wasn't even recorded. I was like, oh, Brady, are you kidding me? So I don't know what happened. The internet connection or something went bad, but that's probably the worst of it, I'd say, when you're doing it's always my biggest fear too, is there was one interview I did that we were literally just about to start. We were kind of going through like, okay, the episode's coming up, blah, 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 blah. Connection goes down. The lights go out in my house. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? Or sorry, I'm not sure if I can swear on here.
You're okay.
I'm like, what happened? And then it turns out this is when I did it in my bedroom at my parents' house. My dad's like, "Oh, sorry, I knocked out the power." I was like, "Oh my God, Dad, I was literally in the middle of something." um, so and then luckily I texted him. I said, "I'm so sorry, power went out quickly. I'll be right back on." So my biggest fear is always. Thankfully, it happened before the interview. It didn't happen during it. Like who knows? We could be doing the interview here, and then my power's gonna shut out right here or something, and then I'll have to call Rory. Rory, my power went out. I'm sorry.
Yep.
But that's definitely maybe not just internet connection, but just the power. You're always worried about the power going out. My computer is hooked up to a power bar that can turn off just by flicking the button. And my biggest fear is that my dog will walk by and press on it. Thankfully, he's at the groomers right now, so I don't have to worry about it now. But that's always my fear is just midway through the interview, something happens, the internet craps out or whatever
Yep.
the case may be. I mean, you must worry about that too sometimes, do you?
Oh my goodness, yes. I was thinking that exact thing. While you're talking, I'm going, we've had a horrendous storm season here in Indiana. I mean, I've been rescheduling stuff right and left. Matter of fact, did I have to reschedule them with you? Did that happen with you and
I
I?
don't think so.
Okay.
Not to my knowledge,
It,
anyway.
it's happened so often, I can't even keep track of who I've had to reschedule because it's happened so often. But I'll be right in the middle of something and just, big crack of lightning or a storm out of nowhere and just boom, goodbye, internet. Just see you. And
Damn
it's
it.
been crazy. And then you're just helpless. It's like, okay, well, I'm down, I guess. So
Well,
there,
that's the worst is that you can't do nothing about it either. It's like I can't just magically say stop it. You know what
right.
I mean? It's just it happens. It's like when if there's a flood in your basement, it's just nobody wants it to happen. It just happened.
Yeah, there's no workaround. It just here it is. You got to deal with it. You're stuck.
I'm doing the podcast underwater today.
Right.
Like,
Bring your flippers. It's going to be a great day.
yeah, my studio just flooded, so I'm doing it. Yeah, I'm like swimming.
Oh, I'm telling you,
Hold your
that's
breath.
a great answer to that question. Though I appreciate that, yeah, especially the the internet going out. Yeah, I don't think I've heard that one yet. If you do it Family Feud style, top five answers on the board, most of the time it's editing and promotion on social media. Those are like top
I
two.
actually don't mind the editing.
So
It used to drive me nuts sometimes, but now it's one of those things that just I've done it so much now that it's just normalize the audio. Okay, we're done. Now it's just, like back then when I didn't really know what I was doing, it took longer. But now I've kind of gotten a system down where it's just okay, like you kind of um what do you do? Like I'm trying to think of the word. You kind of have everything down to a science. I guess you could say, or like templates, like just boom, 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 boom. Okay, just edit it in like 10 minutes. Whereas before, I would literally be sitting there for like hours just trying to level the audio out, and I'm like, it's not close enough.
Yeah.
So if you go back to my earlier episodes, I keep those up. I I did hear of some people who, when it comes to their older episodes, they delete them all because they don't like the poor quality. But I'm like,
Mm.
no, people can listen to that and go, like that's one thing I say is people can go back if they think they're having a rough time and they just started, just go look back to where I started. I was doing it with like shitty audio quality. There was one episode that, speaking of a bad internet connection, I kept the bad internet connection in. I can't remember what episode it was, but it's like midway through the interview, and you just hear, meh, uh, but, and I'm like, why? And so I'm thinking back to now, like, why didn't I edit that out? I'm like, was I that lazy back then? I just didn't want to edit it out. It's somewhere there. Just scroll through all my old episodes. I'm sure you'll find it somewhere in there. Um, but um, but then definitely as you get, you do it so much, it's just like brushing your teeth or going to the bathroom. It's just, yeah, you don't even think about it now.
Right. In terms of the process, when you have people come on your podcast, how do you decide, other than having, an opportunity to interview somebody from, Better Call Saul, right? How do you, with the average person that you're talking to and the average guest, how do you decide who it is you want to bring on? What are you trying to kind of get out of them for your listeners?
I think a lot of it comes to like a lot of the people I have locally too. There's lots of plays going on. There's lots of concerts going on. So I actually have someone coming on. We're interviewing her, or I'm interviewing her next week. She has a couple concerts coming up in Canada. So we're going to talk a little bit about, promote her shows and her journey and stuff like that. A lot of it, I just love to have people who are artists that can talk about their journeys and, inspire other people who are maybe feeling kind of down, or they're feeling a little discouraged, or whatever the case may be. And I've even kind of gotten to the point now where even on my bonus episodes, if the guest has nothing to do with entertainment, like recently I had someone on who is a water specialist. And so we kind of had him on as a bonus episode. Just, that was kind of entertaining to just me get a science lesson. That's always fun because that wasn't my strong suit in school. So just me learning about that, I think was entertaining enough. Um, but yeah, I think it all kind of ties into, and also because, like, talking about proper drinking water, it was during the summertime too. I said this kind of works out when we all have to stay hydrated and proper water drinking and all that stuff. But a lot of it can come to if they're promoting something, or some of them it's just, if it fits, go for it. You know what I mean? Even if they're not promoting anything, just have them on and hear their side of things. And so yeah, sometimes there's a process to it, but a lot of times it's just, bring them on. If they have something to talk about, maybe their project isn't coming out for another year or so, but let's just talk about it anyway. Then yeah, so there's not really a process to it, but it's, it's one that works in both our favors. Oh, you're muted.
There we go. Let's try that. Does that work better? All right. Can you hear
Yep,
me
much
now?
better.
All right. I love it. Um, we still have a little bit of time left. So let me ask you, do you incorporate AI in anything that you're doing at this point?
I will use ChatGPT if I'm having trouble, if there's a guest that I'm trying to come up with good questions. Because a lot of the times I don't even really, the questions I like write up on a piece of paper and stuff like that, I don't normally typically use them in those ways. Sometimes I don't even use the questions, period. But sometimes I'll use ChatGPT and it's like, just provide me. notes, like just like okay, like talking points or whatever. And sometimes the guest is just so bubbly and they're so good at what they do that it just flows naturally. I don't even need the notes. But that's probably pretty much the only time I'll use AI for the podcast is if I'm kind of struggling, like, okay, how do I word this or how do I take that or when do I say this? If we're talking about also, let me like, if we're talking about something serious, like they lost somebody that we're supposed to be talking about, like someone, their journey was inspired by the loss of their mother or something like that. I'm like, how do I word that in a way that's respectful to them? You know what I mean? Like, just it'd be one of those situations of just like, so yeah, your a parent died. How'd you manage? Like you're like find some other way to word it. So I'll use
Yeah.
AI for that types of things, but like some people say, oh, just use a like um nobody has ever said this, but I was always kind of wondering if I had certain people on, they'd be like, oh, they're clearly AI, like he just got someone from AI. Nobody's ever said that to my knowledge. There might be someone out there who's like, oh yeah, that person, his podcast is audio only. Yeah, it's because they're AI. He wasn't actually talking to them. I'm like, if that was the case, I would have had Donald Trump on the podcast years ago. You know what I mean? Like I would have interviewed Trump a long time ago and that would have blown up, you know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, I try not to use AI, but only to kind of help bullet point certain topics.
Yeah, that definitely would have been a viral social media moment for you if you'd have
Exactly.
done that.
Yeah. If they're saying, oh, all those guests, this random person, oh, that's AI. Okay, I would have had Bryan Cranston on, who's like my favorite actor. I would have had James Cameron or Leonardo DiCaprio on. Why would I just have some random person? Not some
Right.
random person. I shouldn't say that. But I would have definitely went if I had AI like that. I would have had Trump on a long time ago.
Yeah, no, for sure. I love what you're doing. And I love the way you've got it all working in tandem, together. Each piece kind of complementing the other. It's really cool. As we kind of, wrap this up, I do still have one more question for you. But before we get there, tell everybody, how they can reach you, how they can find you, websites, socials. What's the best way to reach Frankie?
Well, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Corcoran Entertainment. You can follow our podcast, The Corcoran Entertainment Show, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcasts. This site, I also have a Twitter/X account that isn't really tied to Corcoran Entertainment, but it's an account. I post some stuff on there, at Franky Corcoran. If you like memes and silly tweets here and there, you can follow me on there. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then also anybody who may be interested in collaborating in some way, shape, or form, you can reach me via email, fcorcoran10 at yahoo.com. We can put that in the show notes or however the case may be. Or just slow this part down of the podcast or turn your subtitles on. fcorcoran10 at yahoo.com. And just shoot me an email. Happy to discuss or follow on Instagram, DM on Instagram, Facebook, whatever the case may be. Normally, all the contact info is on the Facebook and stuff anyway. So, and then also, we do have a YouTube channel. Normally, the podcast episodes get uploaded straight to YouTube. So, you can follow us on there. And yeah, that's pretty much how you can find me. And my OnlyFans account. No, I don't have an OnlyFans account. That was secret. I shouldn't have said that.
We all got to do whatever we got to do in this business. I understand.
Exactly. Things are expensive. Dog food's expensive, man,
I mean, hey, if we're putting pictures of our feet up, whatever works. I mean, I get it. So,
Yes, exactly.
all right, brother. I appreciate you putting all that out there. Everything that I can get into the show notes, we will. So, in case you folks are driving right now, don't worry, it's going to be right there for you. But yeah, as we kind of wrap up, our final question, I usually like to ask this. You've given a lot of advice and pieces of that type of thing as we've gone through the episode. But what is your best piece of advice in terms of doing your podcast that you can give out to folks, podcasters, who are not quite where you are yet?
I would say do it if you want to start it thinking that you want to be a millionaire off it. If you're someone who wants to make a crap load of money and be famous and stuff, I'll save you the time right now and just say don't even bother. That's one thing I'll say. Or maybe I shouldn't say it that way, but if because when you don't make it to where you want to be, if you don't make it to where you're famous and you got millions of dollars off it and this and that, uh, no matter what you do, even if you get like 500 listens, you're just going to assume it's a failure because I didn't reach a million downloads or this and that. So just go into it because you love it. Go into it because you want to try it out. Don't go into it expecting fame and big sponsors to, hit you immediately. It takes time to grow. It takes time to, for the first, like, 10 or so episodes, like I did myself, I was in like just interviewing friends and colleagues from around here. So start off small, work your way up. People will eventually notice you, and just don't give up, is what I'd say.
Nice. Fantastic advice. Great way to close this up. Host of the Corcoran Entertainment Show podcast, founder of Corcoran Entertainment, Franky Corcoran. Frankie, brother, thank you for coming on and sharing everything that you did today with everybody. I know you've inspired a couple of people with everything you're doing, man, and just keep doing what you're doing. I love every piece of it. So good luck to you, and thanks for being on the show today, man.
Awesome. Thanks, Rory. Appreciate it very much.
You got it. Folks, this has been another absolutely awesome episode of the Podcaster Nation. And the reason we get such awesome podcasters on here is because this is the podcast. It's about podcasters, it's for podcasters, and it's done by podcasters. And we showed again today that this is the place where the rising tide truly raises all ships. So keep sailing.